Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession on the world's #1 chiropractic podcast. Before we dive into this powerful episode, please remember to subscribe to our channels and give us a 5-star rating on iTunes to continue hustling. This episode is brought to you by Excite Medical and the DRX 9000, Chiro HD, Softwave, Cool Blue VA, Bridge Financial, 100% Chiropractic, Chiro Health USA, Chiro Script AI, Chiro Moguls, the Chiro Speaking Company, New Patients in a Box, Pure Chiro Notes, Titronics, Sherman College of Chiropractic, Life Chiropractic College West, Pro Hockey Chiros, Pro Baseball Chiros, and the IFCO. You can benefit from a full list of sponsors by visiting our sponsor page at chirohustle.com/sponsors. Links in the description. Now, let's hustle.
Hey guys, welcome to episode 636 of the Chiro Hustle podcast. I'm your producer, Luke Millette, and here's your host, James Chester.
So today we had the opportunity of interviewing Dr. Jessie Jacobs. And if you want to hear our conversation about finding your next gear and understanding that you're not alone, stay tuned for the full episode. Welcome back. This is another episode of the Chiro Hustle podcast. Today we have Jessie Jacobs with us. It's episode 636. We're almost 7 years old, guys. If you like what we do, hit the like button, the share button, and we appreciate all of you guys that have been listening to us for this long. It means a ton to us because I was just telling Dr. Jessie that if no one listened to us, we'd still produce. But a lot of you guys do listen to us, so we're thankful for all of you. If you're a chiropractic student and you're listening to us or you listen to us today's your first time, please comment and share this to your classmates because they're not getting what we talk about the first 2 minutes in your schools. And I'll just tell you what our big why is so you know why to share this. Our big why is we protect and promote freedom of speech. I know I shouldn't have to say that, but freedom of speech has been under siege. We know what it's like to be traffic throttled, shadow banned, and censored, and we don't want that for you. So we'd never do that to anybody that we interview on our show. We also believe in medical freedom and family health freedom. They are not the same things, but if you're looking for those avenues of influence, please reach out to a chiropractor. They're going to give you guidance on vitality. That's one of the topics we're going to talk about today, vitalism in the chiropractic profession. And then we also get a bit more philosophical with our show. We believe it's important to tell you to support the sacred trust. We support that. It's BJ Palmer's last words. If you don't know what that means, go to our show notes and you can find out what the sacred trust means. You're going to know more about chiropractic than you previously did. I guarantee you. Then we support subluxation based chiropractic. I know I shouldn't have to say that either, but they're removing this from the schools. So if you want to learn more about this profession, we have to keep it subluxation centered. And then last, we believe in innate intelligence and universal intelligence. We believe that when man or woman, the physical gets adjusted, it connects them to man or woman, the spiritual. And this is episode 636. And this is Dr. Jessie Jacobs. Welcome.
Thank you, Jim, for having me, man. I'm honored.
Yeah, man. I just feel like we have to come out the gate swinging.
Yeah.
And you had a big vision when you finished up 12 years ago, and that was become a chiropractor.
Yep.
And now 12 years into the game, it's been a lot of work, right?
Man. Yeah. I think God put me on this earth to do many things, but I'll tell you just to start off, I do have 6 offices where we have number 7 and number 8 and number 9 in production right now. I could go off this long list of accomplishments, Doctor of the Year for the state of Texas last year. And I'm honored for that. I just like to serve. I like to help others. But I told my wife after our first office we built and we grew it to, it's a $2 million practice, straight chiropractic. We do some decomp, personal injury, but it's a vitalistic, philosophical based office, community based office. I just turned to her and I said, babe, I don't think I was put on this earth to be a chiropractor. I don't know what I was meant to do, but I just don't feel fulfilled. I don't feel like this is like, it was kind of like, you get that accomplishment, you get that car, you get that house, you do, and you think that's what's going to fulfill you. And you're just chasing this emptiness. And that's when it all changed. That's when COVID hit. That's when I realized people didn't know about health. And then my mission changed to serving others, building more leaders in our profession, and creating the new gold standard of chiropractic, which is FreeForm Chiropractic, my company, that really focuses on vitalistic chiropractic, empowering others, and leading the charge with lifestyle chiropractic.
So I'm going to unpack a little bit of that and just really focus on this word vitality.
Mm,
Vitality is there's a kind of a war with words
mm,
within the chiropractic zone.
yeah.
And one of them is mechanistic and one of them is vitalistic.
Yeah.
And how did you decide to go all in with the vitalistic model?
Because I've done the other side. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say I'm immune to the shiny object syndrome. I had an incredible mentor who taught me the vitalistic philosophy. My kids are not vaccinated. We live the vitalistic philosophy and lifestyle of chiropractic. And that's the one thing that makes us unique, Jim. You know this more than 99.9% of chiropractors. But when you open a practice, it's one thing to say you're vitalistic and you run a vitalistic office, but then you also got to pay the bills. You also got to, pay your team. You got to bring bread home to the family. So yeah, we are mechanistic in terms of like people come in for pain, right there. And it's a very easy way to explain, hey, your head hit, boom, we fix you, right? Caveman, cavewoman type of era, like you broke, I fix. But there's so much more to chiropractic in the vitalistic realm. So I integrated. Then I realized this is not for me. I've tried the different niches, but one thing I want to say here is vitalism truly to me means bringing a life force into the room, bringing it into your relationships, into your spouse, into your community, into your team. A life force is palpable. It's a vibration. It's an energy. And you know it when you're around someone who has that vitality. And when you walk into an office and they don't have it. And that's okay. Not everybody can run that. Not everybody can preach it and then actually do it. But for the people who can, it is life-changing because it's contagious. And everybody in your practice, your team members, your community, your practice members, everybody is going to feel that.
It's like a filter system.
Mm.
And if you dilute it, then you don't live it.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't become in you. It's like back in chemistry, you had to do like the drops of element to element, and eventually the titration would change the color and you get a new element.
Yep. That's
like when we remove something out and we don't have enough of it in, we don't become the full element.
Oh, so true. And then you add other things, dilutes it even more, and then it's gone. And I see that happen with badass chiropractors who have built their practice on vitalistic message. And then they get that squirrel shiny object syndrome. Like, well, let's work smarter, not harder. Right. I could say that because I've done it. Then they start adding these different niches. And then what built their practice, the vitalistic chiropractic message, now is diluted to the point where they lose their practice because it's built on something completely different.
Well, that gets me to this business mindset. And I know that that's something I wanted to focus on with you today, and, becoming that lighthouse for chiropractors.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of times, like I said, you can walk the walk and talk the talk, but if you can't cash the checks, you're not going to grow and expand this profession.
Mm-hmm.
So I have seen the opposite direction. I've seen people that get into a mechanistic model, make a bunch of money, and then figure out how to redirect the ship and say, hey, we're going to go in this model where we're going to just go straight vitalism, and we're going to figure out how to reinvest our money and do better for the profession. So I think if I learned anything from the first couple minutes of our chat today, that's kind of the method that you followed. You're like, we're going to go out there and do the best we can to raise a good family, and then we're going to refocus and then redeliver. So I think that's what I picked up.
Yeah, this was a concept that was taught to me by one of my mentors many years ago, and it really resonated with me. I teach all of my team and all of our offices, all of our franchisees. You could either be the tugboat or the lighthouse. The tugboat will save people. You go out into the bad storm and you're getting beaten to shit by the waves, and you are going down almost with the ship, and then you're tying up the ship and you're pulling them and you're tugging them and you're giving them all your energy and all your effort, and you bring them to shore, and maybe, just maybe, you get them out alive and you're alive. Okay. Now that I used to be the tugboat. I used to be the tugboat with my relationships. I used to be the tugboat with my team members, with my employees, with my patients. The problem is you only have so many energy units. There's only so much that you can really give without letting yourself completely drain yourself of energy, right? So I talk about being the lighthouse. The lighthouse is a fixed structure. It stands firm in what, like, bad weather, right? And it shines out like a beacon where people use you as a guide. And that's what I realized. You don't have to be the tugboat pulling yourself under to save people. You can be a fixed beacon of light for people, bringing them, guiding them to safety or to whichever area you want them to be at, in their life.
Yeah, I love the analogy there because I've heard it said a different way, is that if you are on a ship and you're going across the ocean and you're off by 1 degree, you end up in a whole different like
Mm,
hemisphere in a whole
yeah.
different part of the world that you never intended on going.
Yep.
So if you don't know your North Star direction, you will go off course and get lost.
Yeah.
And I think it's a perfect analogy with the lighthouse because if we don't know where we're going, we do get lost.
Yeah, and if you look at the way I look at freeform and what we're trying to do is me and one of my best friends, one of my brothers, Dr. Colby King, we talk about looking at a map and we see these big lighthouses, not on the coast, but in Dallas, Fort Worth, in Houston, Texas, in Florida, in Nashville, in Arkansas. And those are our beacons of light for our communities, for other chiropractors, for people to realize, hey, those guys and gals, they are not just talking the talk, but they're walking it. There's no bullshit in them. They're 100% transparent, and that's what I see in a lot of chiropractors. Is there's a lot of gurus out there that say all these things, but I just want to teach young doctors and doctors who are out there struggling that this shit is hard. It's hard for me, and every day is a battle, and it's not easy. And we're all going through this together. And I'd want people to know that it's not all, cupcakes and rainbows out there every day.
Well, I think that that's very transparent. And, I think a lot of people need to hear that. Like going to work every day, it looks like work and it feels like work.
Mm,
And chiropractors, I always tell people, are like professional athletes. You
yeah.
guys are going in, working long shifts, adjusting a lot of bodies, putting yourself in a lot of different positions. And if you don't take care of yourself physically, mentally, spiritually, and you're not serving well. And I
Mm,
think that that's a big component too, as well as like self-preservation and making sure that the chiropractors are like healthy, because it's really hard to go in and do what you do. Like you said, it's tough work, and to keep like the business running on top of that, that's a next layer and a next level and a next layer and a next level.
yeah.
Um, so I do kind of want to like switch a topic up a little bit and talk
Yep.
about like who's helped you as a mentor, who's helped you like forge yourself into this guy that wants to go on enterprise and save the world
Mm,
with chiropractic.
yeah. I mean, one of my big brothers, I love this guy to death. His name's Dr. Brad Glowacki. Almost everybody in the chiropractic profession knows who he is. He was my mentor, my big bro. Me and him still talk weekly. He was my chiropractic mentor. There's a few other guys in chiropractic like Billy DeMoss. There's James Chestnut. There's a select group of guys. Dr. Barry Anderson, who passed away, who was part of Everest. There was a lot of really incredible mentors I had from a chiropractic standpoint. And then I have like outside chiropractic mentors, like some of the people we spoke about. Andy Frisella, Ed Milet, Sean Whalen. Those are kind of the new age cutting entrepreneurs who are somewhat more adaptable in terms of communicating and teaching and in the self-development realm.
So this poses a really interesting opportunity for me. So
Mm.
these guys become socially significant and they don't have the fundamental like component for chiropractic.
Mm-hmm.
How do we start getting these people that are the modern day influence to understand the vitality behind chiropractic and
Yeah.
to start banging the drum for us?
I'll tell you how, Jim. Quit being a pussy. Quit being this snowflake that doesn't want to tell the truth. You got to tell the truth, and then you got to deliver on that truth. Who said that? Our BJ Palmer, I believe, said that. Is you have to tell people, hey, this is what's going on, and this is how I can help you. One of my mentors that I just spoke of, who's worth hundreds of millions of dollars, I was at a seminar with him. He was hurting, and I could have been like, oh, I'm so sorry that you're hurting. But I told him, hey, have you ever been to a chiropractor? He's like, no. And I pushed and I pushed and I pushed. And then he showed up to a chiropractor's office on his Instagram reels, 2 weeks later. And my buddies are like, oh, he finally went to a chiropractor. And I didn't say anything. I just was like, I knew God put me on this earth to help other people. And he might not have come to my office, but I know he came to a chiropractic office to realize the truth. It was because I spoke up. So people just need to start speaking up for what we believe in.
And I'm going to reformat that just slightly. And a lot of times when people get chiropractic, it's sometimes later in life. That's why our next interview with Tara Hogan, she talks about babies and pregnancies and helping with like developmental life with chiropractic. Yeah. And I just think that so many of these people that are in influential seats, if they were just getting adjusted from like early age into like becoming these phenomenal influencers, where would we be with chiropractic instead of saying, hey, I know you're like an influence and you're doing great things, but hey, come see the chiropractor now. Like we can help you. And I find that to be the narrative a lot with like people that find chiropractic. They're like 35, they're 25. They've already like jacked their kids up with shooting them full of neurotoxins. Yeah. Their husband can't work and limps around because he has, degenerative disc disease now. And they're not having more kids because he's not getting it up. There's all these like under the surface things that happen because people don't understand this vitality in the chiropractic lifestyle. Yeah,
Jim. I mean, the thing is, I didn't learn about chiropractic until I was accepted into chiropractic school. I did not get a adjustment until I got accepted. And once I got accepted, I was like, okay, I got to figure out what this shit is all about. And I mean, I was an athlete, played Division I college soccer. I wanted to be a medical doctor. I wanted to work on knees. I wanted to work on professional athletes. And then I went through the process of shadowing doctors and realizing this is not my thing. Like I do not want to do this. This is not vibrating with me. This is something I needed to immediately change. And I started going to looking at law school and physical therapy school. And I was just in this lonely road of trying to figure out my way. And I can tell you one thing when it comes to not knowing about chiropractic, I say it all the time. I wish I would have known about it sooner. Why don't more people know about it? So I've been on that other side, like a lot of these influencers. And it just goes back to, we have a lot of work to do as chiropractors to bring ourselves into the norm, bring ourselves into, we are going against the medical cartel. We are going against the allopathic model, which we know is not, there's a time and a place. And we all know that it saves millions of people's lives, but it also kills a lot of people in unnecessary injections, reactions, medications, and surgeries. So we all know this. We know it's bankrupting our country. Starbucks spends more on healthcare than they do on coffee. General Motors spends more on healthcare than they do their steel to make their cars. When that happens, we know something's wrong with our healthcare system. how do we step in the right role to really help people?
You made it to Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession on the world's #1 chiropractic podcast. This episode is brought to you by Excite Medical and the DRX 9000, Chiro HD, Softwave, Cool Blue VA, Bridge Financial, 100% Chiropractic, Chiro Health USA, Chiro Script AI, Chiro Moguls, the Chiro Speaking Company, New Patients in a Box, Pure Chiro Notes, Titronics, Sherman College of Chiropractic, Life Chiropractic College West, Pro Hockey Chiros, Pro Baseball Chiros, and the IFCO. You can benefit from a full list of sponsors by visiting our sponsor page at chirohustle.com/sponsors. Links in the description. Now, let's hustle. Well, chiropractic has always been outside the lines.
Mm-hmm.
Like when they said to write a story for the history of healthcare,
Mm-hmm.
chiropractic never fit into the box. And that's why you see people misconstruing chiropractic as chiropractic medicine, or they package it to what they favor. And chiropractic's never been favored. It's always been outside. It's always been on the sidelines and outside of the grid. And that's why people don't understand it. And that's why you didn't understand until you went to college, is because here's the big secret. There's no money in healthy people.
We all know that.
And not all of us.
Well, we do, yes.
And like, that's just it. Is I tell people constantly, if they knew what we know, they'd do what we do.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't know what we do, so they don't do what we do. And now that's why they're all sick, fat, nearly dead.
Mm-hmm.
And they're propping themselves up with every pill, potion, and lotion under the sun. And honestly, it's hard. It's really hard to be healthy in today's like medical economy.
Yeah.
It's extremely, extremely hard, even for people that are principled and take care of themselves and eat real food and drink real clean water and make sure they prioritize sleep, and they're biohackers.
Yep.
Like even the people at the upper echelon of health, they're still mightily struggling because of how polluted our medical culture is.
Yeah, Jim, I mean, this starts from my kids have watched Doc McStuffins. Okay. In that show, they'll have a medical doctor, briefcase that they're giving pills and injections to. This is meant for like 3 and 4-year-old kids. My kids, just to show you how strong chiro kids they are. My kids, when they were like 6 or 7, I got 4 kids, my 2 oldest, one of them got a toy for Christmas, and it was like a medical doctor briefcase. And it had, I was like, really, you obviously don't know me. Why would you give my kid this? But it was it had a syringe that had the collapsible needle. My kids have never been injected by anything ever. So my kids only have seen injections happen from people in their neck, like trying to put them to sleep. So my kids were over here injecting stabbing each other in the neck, pretending like they were making each other go to sleep from like a neurotoxin, right? Whereas most kids would be like, oh, we're giving your injection here and in your hip or your butt. And my kids are just, this goes back to what we were just talking about. It has to start with the younger generation. It has to start with our kids. It has to start with the chiropractors' children. Because you're right, it is extremely hard right now to live a principled chiropractic life and live healthy with the environment around us being so unhealthy. So what do? We need to create that environment for our kids so they can vibrate at a higher frequency, so they can live the best life, and they are our future. We really got to take care of our future generations.
Amen. I couldn't say it better. And I think
that also goes for our chiropractic students, man. Like, I mean, that's our next generation. And right now they're kind of being led down a lot of different paths. And we have to step in there to tell them, hey, look, what's the best way to get where you want to go? Ask someone who's been there before for directions. I'll tell you.
This might upset a lot of people that watch our show and listen to our show, and I'm okay with that. Like, I don't do this to like sing kumbaya, but I think that when we think about the students, they're being led by wolves in sheep's clothing. And it's like saying that we want the wolf to guard the hen house. And without them slaughtering them. And I think that it's kind of, that's a bit extreme.
Yeah.
But when we think about the education that kids come out with, the valuation and the competency, it's not balancing out.
No, I hear what you're saying, and I agree with you. I think there's still institutions and schools out there that are doing right by the subluxation vitalistic, but I do agree with you. I know what you're saying here. A lot of them are lost, right? They're just trying to get accredited. They're trying to keep their institutions on the map. It has to come from the chiropractor. It has to come from the one who's actually in action doing it out there. Like if I was out here, if I just sold all my stuff and moved straight into franchisor business guy, there's nothing wrong with that. But I wouldn't be like, I'm not leading by example. I'm still adjusting spines. I'm still talking, preaching the message. I'm still doing vitalistic health talks for big Fortune 500 companies, because if I'm not doing it, how the hell am I going to tell you to do it?
So I know you have about 30 to 50 years ahead of you of adjusting. So, and the next, so say in the next 10 years or 20 years, where do you see chiropractic going with that in your mind, that you're still going to be adjusting for the next 30 to 50 years?
I think if you have, people like, if we have more people step up, our profession will be in really, really good position to grow and thrive. But I am a realist. Okay. I'm very optimistic. Normally you will always, my wife used to always complain to me, like, you see the good in people, but there is bad in people. Like you sometimes give them too much credit or give them too much faith. And I agree with her in that. But when it comes to the future of chiropractic, I'm concerned. I'm concerned because I think we have, a dying breed. I think the vitalistic message that makes us unique, the sacred trust, as BJ Palmer, entrusted into us to pass on to future generations, I think that's getting lost over the last couple decades. And we're seeing more and more people move into integration and different types of styles. And there's nothing wrong with integration. I just think what is pure, as BJ says, and unadulterated is the vitalistic, pure chiropractic.
So I know that neither one of us work in a chiropractic school. So, I have to give them a tip of the hat for doing the work and for perpetuating a system. But we have to do better.
Yeah.
And I think that every student that goes into a chiropractic program on day one should get a copy of the Sacred Trust.
Yes, I agree.
And on day one, that should be the first thing that they get before they get anything else.
Yes.
And they should say, this is what I'm about.
Jim, let me touch on this, because I know we don't have a lot of time left. Look, a lot of chiropractors complain about this, but you have no room. And I'm speaking to whoever out there is complaining about the schools. You have no room if you're not out there doing something about it. I am super active with Parker University because I'm in Fort Worth. Parker is I'm a graduate of Parker. I love Parker. Fab Mancini, Gilles LaMarche, the whole crew, Dr. Morgan, they're badass. Okay. They're doing really good things, but I need to step in where I think I can help. I'm not going to bitch and complain about something if there's no action behind it. And I don't sit here and blast them out loud on social media, because the people who do that, like, you're over here preaching the message of chiropractic and there's action behind it. What really pisses me off are the people who bitch about it and they do nothing about it. Like, I'm a CBI doctor. I do underground seminars for students. That's free business training. I'm always bringing doctors in, shadowing, placing them with other doctors. Like, just don't bitch about it if you're not going to do something about it. And I love that you do stuff, but I just wanted to clear that.
But I think that that's just the truth of it. Is we have to be solution oriented rather than problem oriented.
Right.
Anybody can get hot and bothered and talk shit.
Correct.
But to get hot and bothered and get results and to make action and to go and actually like make a difference. That's what we need this as a call to arms for the chiropractors or the students that listen to the show. Say, look, I know that things are tough. I know that, people inside of the model that you're in are a bit lost, but we
Mhm.
need you to refocus. We need you to refocus and become the best adjuster. We need you to refocus and start getting philosophy. We need you to refocus and start getting mentorship. So
Exactly.
it's not about saying that the system is wrong. It's saying, hey, how can we supplement? And somebody
Yep.
doesn't eat like a clean diet, they
Mhm.
have to supplement with
Yep.
different things. And the only way to tell out what to supplement is to do some blood work. Well, if
Mhm.
we're going to do the blood work of the chiropractic profession, how do we supplement these people that are anemic? How do we supplement these people that are, you know, not healthy with their systems? Well, we need to supplement them with the science, philosophy, and art of
Yeah.
chiropractic outside the education that they're getting.
1000%. I think that's where you hit it on the head is a lot of people think that school is supposed to get them prepared for the outside world. School is only supposed to get you that piece of paper that you hang on the wall. People like me and you teach you how to deposit that piece of paper that you put in the bank. Okay. Like there's a difference between the diploma and then the money and the paper you put in the bank. So, just understand as a young student, as a soon to be doc, a young doc, school is there to get you that board, passing grade, and that's it.
And even if you're a practicing doc and you're 5 years out, 3 years out, and you're nicked up and you're starting to lose your confidence and you see like the bills piling up, I think there's only one real approach to like fixing that, and that's to go serve more people.
Yeah.
I was always told that if you want to make $1 million, serve 1 million people.
Yeah.
And sometimes we figure it out faster than 1 million people. But I think that the more that you put your service out there and start producing, the quicker the return on your investment for your education will come also.
Yeah, and people like reach out. Like chiropractic, the chiros have such they have incredible hearts. Like I've never seen it. When I integrated the medical doctors, they are so cutthroat. It was like, oh, you want to learn how to do this? That's going to be 20 grand. And I was like, what? Like chiros, they'll do anything for you. They'll share anything with you. And I coach a lot of chiropractors in this, and I have a program called Vitalis, which is obviously a play on words with the vitalistic philosophy. And a lot of my docs, I call people and I talk to chiropractors who are struggling, and you look on Facebook, they're going on vacation. They got this incredible life, but they're over here having to lay off their staff because they're struggling so hard. And if you just reach out, you will get help in our profession. But you don't have to struggle silently. We are here to help each other and build each other up.
The best way to your future is to pave the path with dollar bills.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you can't pour from an empty cup. And I
That's
think
right.
that these things are like important for people to understand that, like, go out there and become really, really successful,
Mhm.
and then support the next generation of chiropractors with that money.
That's exactly what my thoughts.
Um, I know we're coming up to the edge of our time. We didn't ask you all the questions that we had sent out to you, but I'm really curious. Could you maybe close this out with a miracle story that you've seen happen over the past 12 years, and then give us the links on how to connect with you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, man, there's a lot, right? That we have a lot of incredible miracle stories. One that stands out to me is a patient who it wasn't her name's I'll just say Mrs. Southwick. But she came into my office and she was on wellness. And one thing about wellness, guys, wellness, I encourage you to start using the term lifestyle. There are, testosterone places doing wellness. There's Botox places doing wellness. What do chiropractors really strive in? What do they excel in? It's truly lifestyle, right? Is teaching the chiropractic lifestyle. So I had a patient, Marilyn, who came in. She's been under care for 3 years. Okay, 3 years, Jim. And she came in for neck pain. Neck pain's gone. She's been coming in for her lifestyle treatment, her care for the last, like, she comes in twice a month. And she comes in with this audiology report and she shows it to me and she goes, Dr. Jacobs, I was born deaf in my left ear. And I go to my audiologist and get a routine checkup once a year. And when I went, they checked, and when they did the testing, I could sense a certain frequency. And now, for the first time, she's in her mid 50s. For the first time ever, she can hear out of her left ear, because now she could get hearing aids. She qualified for them. She could detect a certain vibration, a frequency. So now she can finally hear out of her left ear. It just brings us back to the Harvey Lillard story, right? Of restoring hearing in the ear. And the reason that this is an important miracle story is because it didn't happen immediately. We've had the infertility, we've had the testicular pain, we've had the digestion, we've had all of these incredible stories, people's voices becoming stronger, headaches, migraines going away for life. But this was someone who did not feel it immediately, did not get hearing change within the first 3 to 4 months. It was after 3 years of maintenance, wellness, lifestyle care that this patient finally experienced the miracle. And that's the story I want to leave you with is, it's not this immediate quick gratification, like we get you out of pain, you live this healthier lifestyle. It takes time, and you got to plant those seeds with your patients that, hey, look, 3 or 4 months in, you're going to be out of pain, but you're still in that mechanistic. You need a year or 2 years to really change into a vitalistic mindset. So I would encourage you, if you're a chiropractor listening to this, really focus on getting your patients with you longer so they can actually experience the vitalistic miracle. Because I think a lot of people are missing out on the true miracle because they're not there long enough.
Yeah, I fully support that mission. And I always say to people pay attention what they pay for. And if you get somebody to continuously pay for their quality of life and their health, that's when, transformation happens.
Yeah.
And I think that there's a lot to be said about long-term care and the quality of life that you get from it. And then I would, early on, I was always told that it's not to get somebody out of something or through something. It's about to get them long-term results.
Yep.
And chiropractic does a really good job of getting people through something or out of something. But it's the people that start to understand that lifestyle, like you were saying, that we can see the vibrational frequency of everything else that they do in their life.
Yeah.
It has it's the influence.
Yeah.
And it's the only truth that remains in the medical world is chiropractic.
Yeah. And that also is contagious, right? When you do that for you, it starts to translate over to your spouse. Then it starts to translate over to your kids. Then it starts to translate over to your neighbors. You're not doing it for them. You're almost being selfish to be selfless, right? And most people, they don't even get past that first step. And that's one thing I've realized. If I'm going to make a change in this profession, we're creating the gold standard in chiropractic. I got to lead by example. That's the only way to lead. Therefore, it'll be contagious and other people will start to follow.
Well, Dr. Jesse Jacobs, you're excellent. And this is episode 636 of the Chiro Hustle podcast. If you want to get in touch with Dr. Jacobs, go to www.drjessejacobs.com and you can connect with him, learn all about his mentorship and how to become a lighthouse out there. And maybe you're number 10, 11, and 12 of clinics that he's looking to get people out there supporting his brand and mission with FreeForm. So is there anything I didn't ask you that you'd like to send us off with today?
No, if you want to reach me, it's at Dr. Jesse Jacobs on any platform, really. And if you could find a way, just reach out. To close this off, I would just say, we talked a lot of conceptual stuff, a lot of, analogies on life. And one thing I would say, like, just for someone who wants to make an impact right now, is like go guerrilla style. Like, I am a firm believer, all of our offices, like, we are silverback gorillas going out into our community, beating our chest. Obviously, we're not like being obnoxious and annoying, but like, we are proud of what we do. So if you're one of those who want to go out and make an impact, you got to get out into your community and go grassroots style. Everybody talks about social media. and so Facebook and Instagram. And yes, there's incredible platforms there to generate a lot of new patients. Like I think you have to, if you're going to compete in this market, have a good digital marketing campaign and ads. But there's one thing that will never change, and that is you going out guerrilla style. And the last thing I want to leave you with is, imagine that person that walks into your office, the last person that ever walks into your office. How are you going to generate new patients from that person? Like, you have to provide the highest quality care and the best possible experience for that patient. So the only option they have is to leave and tell everybody else about how badass of a chiropractor you are. And that's what I would leave you with, is that one person in your office. Don't worry about all the people around it, the capabilities, the ads. Focus on that one person in your office and do what you were meant to do. Tell them the truth, deliver on the truth. Love you guys. God bless. Thank you, Jim, so much for this opportunity.
Yeah, it's been a great show. Once again, go find him on any platform that he's speaking about, drjessejacobs.com, or search him on all the socials. I really appreciate you. I'll close out by telling everybody this is episode 636 of the Chiro Hustle podcast. You guys are just one story away. Keep hustling. I'll see you guys on the next episode. Bye for now. Thanks for listening to Chiro Hustle. Don't forget to subscribe and check back next week to continue hustling.